Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdicus Dave. Today I'm joined by Megan R. Miller, author, staff writer for Nerdarchy, also does the writing for our Patreon awards, and I'm sure so much more. How are you doing today, Megan?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Good. It's been a long time since we've talked to each other. So we have regular Nerdarchy meetings, and Megan is involved in some of those because they do a lot of writing for us. We are very, very happy to have you on board. You definitely class up the place.
Thank you.
So you're also, but aside from that, you're also an author who publishes via Amazon, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct. My link is in the description.
Yes, as always, in the first pinned comment there, we have links to the person. You are also dungeon mastering for us on Tuesday nights. I mean, we had started, I guess a couple of weeks prior to that.
Yeah. There were like 2 sessions, and then like the first one that we did on camera. And that'll be tonight because it's also Tuesday.
It is also Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, we're having a lot of fun with that. It was a game that we started a couple years ago. I don't even know which year at this point, but a while ago.
I think it was 2018.
That sounds...
Yeah, it was 2018.
That sounds about right. Yeah, we had done this convention called Concoction in Ohio, and, the whole crew was there to hang out. So we're like, hey, Megan, what you doing? And she's like, nothing. I was like, good. You should run a game for us.
Oh, God. They gave me like an hour's notice. So I'm like sitting there scrawling my notes while I'm sitting next to Ted. So I like wrote them in runic so that he couldn't read what I was writing down.
Oh yeah, that was kind of crazy because Megan then showed us her notes later. So the thing is, we're at this convention, this event, and I think we had all gone to see the Harp Twins play.
We did.
And that was when you basically did your show prep, or your game prep. The show. So the Harp Twins, they're twins and they play harps, but they play like all contemporary or metal or from nerdy shows, but with harps. Is pretty cool. So for however long that show ran is basically the time that you used to prep, and you wrote it all in another language.
Yeah.
You said runic?
Yeah, it was runic. It was Futhark.
Why can you read that?
Well, okay, when I was in high school, I had this book that was like Dragonology or something, and like they used that alphabet for the Draconic alphabet, but it's also the alphabet that most settings use for like their Dwarven and stuff, and so I went to a high school where if you got caught passing notes, the teacher would take the note and read it. So my friends and I were like, well, we're going to learn this dragon alphabet and use it to pass notes. So if the teacher takes it, they won't be able to tell everybody what we're talking about. And that's why I know that alphabet.
Interesting. So basically you did it to defeat the man.
Yes, absolutely.
Did any of your notes ever get captured by the enemy?
No, because we also had this tendency to like take, because instead of tearing a page out of a notebook to pass the note, we had a dedicated notebook where we'd like write our notes and then pass the whole notebook over. So I guess they thought we were passing like actual notes for class. It was really easy to get around the teachers in that high school.
It almost sounds a little disappointing to not get caught, to have them be befuddled by your runes.
It would have been so good. Like, I can just imagine the look on, like, Miss Matthews' face or something if she'd, like, caught the note. Oh, missed opportunity.
Oh, well. You're just going to have to go back for like, a reunion or something and be like, in your face. No. So, how many novels have you written thus far?
Okay, so I've published 8, but I've got 3. I've got 3 that are finished and sitting on my hard drive, like, in the editing process at the moment. It just takes a little while to get them ready to go live, so, like, I've written 11.
Okay, and how many of those are in a series?
Okay, so I've got 3 in the Draysel series, 4 in the Nimbus books, 1 is standalone. Then I've got 1 Nim book that's got a draft finished. Hi, Elfbait. Like 1 that's drafted and in the editing process, and I have no idea how long that one's going to take me to finish. It's not long enough. Like, I need to go back and make it longer, and I have no idea what I'm doing with that yet. But and then the other 2 that I have written are part of a Fairy Western series that I'm just gonna try to get the whole series done before I start putting it out, because apparently that makes things easier.
Fairy Western.
Yes.
What exactly is a Fairy Western? I don't believe I've heard of that genre.
Good. So that's because it's not like. I wanted to write westerns, but I also wanted to write something with fairies in it. And like my husband has this character that he plays sometimes, Slag, that's like, he's a cowboy, but he's also a fire elemental. And I just really liked the idea of like that guy having adventures in like the Fae courts and in like standard western towns. So, like he's the protagonist. I'm writing about like that guy.
You said fire. Is he actually a fire elemental?
Yeah, kinda. He's half fire elemental. He's like the closest thing that this setting has to a genocide, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. But he's Lady Luck's favorite gambler. So like that's the premise here, is that he's like getting into all kinds of mayhem because Lady Luck likes him, and that means that things that are not likely to happen to this guy.
So I have no idea, but in my mind now I'm picturing a cowboy that has a cigarette in his mouth and is always smoking, but it's never lit.
I mean, he does light them, but, you know, he doesn't have a lighter or anything. I guess they had lighters back in the Old West. Like, they're older than you would expect them to be. I keep doing a lot of research for, did this exist in the 1920s?
Yeah, they always show the matchstick, right? They light the matchstick off their boot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a thing, but they had lighters back then.
Yeah.
So,
they're probably really expensive, and the lighter fluid is probably expensive.
That's probably true.
I'm just guessing. I could be just talking out my butt. Very good possibility.
Like they definitely didn't have disposable lighters. They were definitely the refillable kind.
So that's something you're working on. What about the book series that you actually have out?
Okay, so I have the Chronicles of Draysel that are like, God, very old, and I haven't read them in a long time, so I don't know how well they've aged. I wrote those when I was 23, so like, just be gentle if you decide to go look at those. But they're set in this city that, like, the rest of the world has been like invaded by this corruption, and if you leave the city walls, like, you also get infected and you end up dying. And if you leave, you know, unless it's under very specific circumstances with like this medieval equivalent to a hazmat suit, like, they're not going to let you back in because you'll infect everybody else. And the city is kept safe by this holy tree that's like in the middle of it. So it's about the people that live in the city that they can't get out of, and like the stir craziness that goes on there, and you know, that sort of thing. Then there's the Nimbus books that, I'm going to be honest with you, like, we were playing Shadowrun and then we stopped playing Shadowrun. I missed the characters, so I transported them to a more generic cyberpunk setting and just started writing about it. And then Torchlighters is set in like this pseudo 1920s-esque fantasy setting where everything is powered by summoning demons and siphoning power from demons. And so I affectionately refer to it as demon punk, but it's a mob story with demons in it. Like, what's not to like about that?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely works. Mob story with demons. I actually like portraying demons and devils that way. I think it's fun. Specifically, like 1920s era mobsters style.
Yes, I love that aesthetic.
So
yeah,
I was just going to say the 404 Killer Not Found is like one of my favorite titles.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I was very proud of it.
So it sounds like RPGs inspire a lot of your writing.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't think that anybody exists in these circles and is, like, untainted by, like, the RPGs that they play. Yeah,
it would be. Yeah, it does seem that way. Like, you know, Salvatore, Butcher, the different people I listen to, from different interviews and stuff, and they all seem to do some kind of RPing. Margaret Weiss, I mean, she had a gaming company for a while. I don't know if she still does anything with that. Which
I stand her so hard.
Yeah, well, it was so cool to meet her because it's like your grandma but with dragons. Because she's like this little old lady, but like she's written all these like fantasy novels. So,
oh yeah, she's amazing.
So it's super cool. So during the apocalypse here, are you getting much gaming in?
So much gaming, Dave. So much gaming. Like if I'm not at a gaming table, then I'm probably RPing with someone on the internet. Like it's just like I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's too much gaming. No such thing. Like I am overly blessed.
So has it gone up for you or stayed the same?
I wish I could say that it had gone up for me, but I never left my house before.
I'm the same way. It's like, I think like generally I would go out like once a week to go film with Ted, but even that's not really happening.
Like, I do play with a group IRL once a week, and we stopped doing that for a little while when things were really heavy, but I live in this little town in the middle of, like, the butt crack of Ohio, so, like, no one ever comes here. We don't really have much of an outbreak to speak of, so we're allowed to meet in groups of 10 or less. So we have less than 10 people in our gaming group, so we still meet to do that.
Yeah, we moved our gaming group online, and we're still online. That group meets once a month. Like we have a bunch of groups that meet now. We do anyway. We now have a bunch of groups that meet once a month. So right now we're all just doing online until things calm down. Although New Jersey was one of the hardest hit states. So even when
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, even though, and they're starting to open up things still, but I'm still a bit hesitant anyway. So I'm like, I'll wait a little while and see what happens. We did. It was a bone of contention the other day. We had like a family get together, and I was like, I think it's too soon, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I dig.
So how many groups are you playing in then?
Oh gosh. We're just counting D&D groups, right? Like, sit down, play the game groups.
It could be other role playing games.
Let's see. Okay, so I've got the game that I play with Ted and B once a month. I've got the group that we're playing in tonight. I've meeting with Professor Bill tomorrow evening. Then I've got a Saturday game with my Irish friends and other online friends, and then I've got Sunday game with my group in real life, and I think that's it as far as table topping goes.
Are you
so like 5 weekly, and then like the online just chat based games that I bounce around with. So there's at least 2 of the 7. I'm gonna go with 7.
7's a good number. So Joe wants to know if you have any audio books.
Not yet, but I'm hoping to get there. I've got some friends that are voice actors, and I've got something in the works with a couple of them about like possibly getting things situated in audiobook format. So I'm hoping to get Torchlighters done first. So
Dave wants to know what software to use for online games.
So we're using Zoom right now, and we tend to use Zoom for like the stream games. For the games that I'm playing with most of my online friends, though, we just talk through Discord because we're not streaming them or anything. It's just, friend times.
Yeah, even our stream games and even our non-stream games, most of them, we don't use the VTT. It's just, theater of the mind, and I think like our Saturday game we've been using a VTT, but that's even at different degrees because we had like James Intercaso was a DM, Eugenio DM Jazzy Hands on Twitter was one of the DMs, and now V's been running from Crafting Muse, and it's like, you know, everyone's used the Roll20 to different degrees. Which,
okay, so like this isn't for my online games, but with my real life game, we sometimes pull up Tabletop Simulator and like spawn in little figures for people to use on the mat there because it's easier than actually having a battle mat. Something gets spilled every single time without fail, so it's easier if it's just up on the screen.
Yeah. You know, I've played with GMs that have done that too, where like they're like, oh, I have this big TV on the wall. Why not just use this for stuff? I mean, that's getting a lot easier. And then also, you don't have to worry about owning nearly as much physical stuff if you're using terrain. If it's all kind of digital and virtual.
For sure.
You can kind of just pull up what you need.
I still can't figure out how to make Fog of War work right. But, you know, like there are ups and downs, and it's not like you have Fog of War at the actual table.
Yeah, that's true. Or if you do, it's like you'll see like these huge setups where they got like paper over everything, which just seems like a hassle to me. Clearly these people do not have cats.
Or just like draw it as you go with like the dry erase marker. I've had DMs that have done that, or used like the blocks, you know, like the puzzle piece dungeons. But you can just like set the tiles out. That's always good.
We've done some of that. We'll use a grid. We'll use a grid, and then like to like make our borders and our walls. There's always like a bag of mechanical pencils, and we'll use those. And then we'll share them online, share like pictures online, and then people are like, will make fun of us because we're like constructing these dungeons out of pencils on the dry erase board. They're like, why don't you just draw it? It's because it's a pain in the ass to erase it. It doesn't erase right. Like it always smudges. And we also don't use it like when we put out terrain and stuff. It is like for a combat. It's not like we're drawing the whole map.
Yeah, I dig that. It is quite a pain in the butt to draw the entire map.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, we've always been mostly theater of the mind with the occasional break out the thing. We kind of really started with minis with 3rd edition because you could get to pre-paint it, and Ted has an obsession with plastic, so it just worked out really well. So now there is lots and lots of minis at our gaming space. It's too much. It's too many sometimes. It's like you have to sift through bins and bins of minis if you're using them to figure out what you're going to use. They eventually got sorted. But, so, as far as software, like, we pretty much use Zoom, which we use with you. A lot of people are doing Discord now, although I do not like the Discord video.
See, I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, I had done like a podcast or something, and that's what they were using, and it was kind of a pain. I feel like Zoom feels like to be the lowest bar as far as ease of use, resource intensity. I think that's why most streamers use it, just for those factors.
Yeah, it's really funny because I know. You guys have been using Zoom for a while now since you stopped using the Google Chats, and Zoom is really good, but it's honestly been hilarious hearing friends that don't do this talking about using Zoom for work meetings.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like all the things they talk about, you see in social media and the news about the problems with Zoom, I feel like 80 to 90% of them are just user issues, right? They just don't know how to use it. They're putting their links in the wrong places, and and that's why, for the most part. So you're running a game for us currently. Are you running any other games where you're the GM?
So I've got my Sunday game. So I wanted. What I wanted was basically Star Trek, but D&D, and I mean, I love Spelljammer to death, but it's not that, and Warhammer definitely isn't that, so we just kind of, homebrewed a thing for it, but, that's what we're doing with our Sunday game, and I think I'm going to be taking over Saturday campaign at some point in the next couple of weeks, too, so I'm about to be a very busy person.
Just got to run the same game for everybody.
I mean, like, I could do that, except I like to, take the characters that are in the game and specifically, like, mold the game around what they are and, like their plots and stuff. And that's really hard to do, like, one size fits all.
Yeah, I think Jen from Pixelscape was doing that a lot. She was running, some of the pre-written, and she would run it for, like, 2 or 3 groups.
Oh yeah, she was talking about some of the things that she was doing with, I think, Tyranny of Dragons that sounded really cool.
Yeah, I think she still customized them and stuff, but...
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, I never did manage to get into one of her games.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity, that.
We might have to do a Scarlet Sisterhood reunion at some point.
That would be nice. I miss those people.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to game with. That to this day, that was one of my favorite games to run. It was... It was just easy. You guys just made it so easy. I felt like a lot of times it wasn't even necessary for me to be there.
Sorry, Dave.
No, in a good way. Like, you ladies would all show up and just make things happen. And as a DM, I love that. Because I've had other groups with players that are pretty experienced where I just felt like I would put out all these hooks and I would just have to pull teeth. I don't even care, like, if my players take my hooks, to be honest with you. They can do whatever they want. But I hate when they're, like, sitting there kind of staring at each other, not really doing anything. And you just want to poke them with a stick and be like, do something. Do something.
So, something that I have learned, and, like, this is a gross generalization, I know there are many exceptions to this, is that, like, most of the guys that I have gamed with have learned to game through, like, sitting at a tabletop and playing D&D with a dungeon master, and most of the ladies that I have gamed with learned to play role-play games through, like, forums and chat-based medium where there is no dungeon master and you always have to make the plot yourself. So, like, it's a very different, like, way to learn to play these games, and, like, it can get you into trouble sometimes, because, like, if there is a dungeon master, like, you can't just make stuff happen because that's the DM's job, but, like, it's a different mindset.
But, yeah, I am more of a reactionary GM, so if I'd rather feed off the players and help them do whatever it is they're trying to do. Whether it's slay the dragon or build a bathhouse, just like whatever. Just, if they're doing something, then all I have to do is, facilitate that. And then we get to tell the story that they're trying to tell with their characters.
Yeah, it's so nice. And, I mean, like, I love it when the players have agency as well, like, particularly when, like, they come to me with, this is something that I want to do. I had a player build a brothel once, but, like, it wasn't weird, like, it was just like any other business. Yeah. And he worked there himself. Like, I thought that was a nice touch. He got a lot of hell for that from the other players, though.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say the employees. Hey, you're cutting into our revenue.
No, he got some hell from potential employees because he had this habit of, like, asking the NPCs if they wanted to come work for him, and he got slapped more than once. It was very funny.
Well, you got rooms to fill. You're running a business. It's not gonna take care of itself. So, are you playing any non-D&D games right now?
Well, man, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Sorry, Bill. I'm playing in a Marvel Face Rip game with Bill that he hasn't started posting yet, but, like, that one's with a bunch of other ladies as well, so that's, it's been fun so far. I've been in Atlantis, like, if you guys see that one get uploaded, like, absolutely watch it, because we have fun. It's good. It's good times.
How many sessions are you into that?
I don't even know. I feel like tomorrow will probably be the last one, I believe is what it's supposed to be, like,
okay,
end of the season sort of thing. So I want to say 12, but I think I only want to say 12 because that's, like, how many episodes I'm used to being in a season of something. I don't actually have any idea.
Nice. So who's your character in that game?
Okay, so I'm, like, playing an Atlantean noble, Kaya of the House of Dorma. She's got a terrible temper and wants to fight everything. Well, first of all, the name Dorma threw me a little bit because it's really close to Dormo, and I think, like,
he's got a daughter or something that might be like another like derivative of his name, which is from the dark dimension, and that now you know all my vast knowledge of the Marvel occult has been spewed forth, and it ends there.
Well, I believe that there is a connection there, but you're just gonna have to go and watch it.
Yeah. So is she just kind of like a straight up punch you type character, or?
She has a rapier, and she gets into a lot of duels.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I'm, like, the only character in the party that, like, actually specialized in fighting things. So, like, you know, the rest of the party is, like, off, like, talking to people and building things and, like, being generally pacifistic. And meanwhile, I'm just, like, if it needs punch, call me.
Yeah. So Marvel Phase Rips making a comeback again. Bill will never.
I am not related to Namor.
Bill will never let that system die.
No, as well he shouldn't. It's a good time.
It is fun. I mean, of a lot of all the RPGs I've played, that one still has a fond spot in my heart. It is fun, and I just feel like it was way ahead of its time.
So yes, go check out Comic Book University if you haven't already. Bill is a lovely person. He's like the most fun.
Yes, if you want to watch like 50 comic book videos that get dropped a day, go over there. He doesn't post as much as he used to, but I remember my feed would just be like a dozen Comic Book University videos. I miss when he used to do the Heroes Explained in a Minute, because I would just like watch like 15 of them back to back.
He's got like extensive knowledge and very strong opinions.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's got more YouTube videos up than we do now. He blew by us, and I even think it's not even by like a little bit. It's like a lot. Like we're at like 3,300 videos, and I think he's at like 4,000 or something now.
Prolific.
Yeah, and he started after us, and we are pretty prolific as far as D&D YouTubers go, and he like blows us out of the water.
Oh, yeah, I'm never going to catch up.
Elfie says Professor isn't an exaggeration. Nah.
Nope.
That's just his jam. So, what is your favorite RPG to play?
Like setting-wise or like mechanics-wise, because those are very different answers.
They are very different. Go with either. Take your pick.
Oh. Okay, so, like, this will come as a surprise to no one, but if I had the option to just move settings right now and go live in the Shadowrun universe, I would take it and leave you all in my dust. I'm so salty that I'm not an elf right now. I love it. I love everything about it. I would go live there if I could. And then, like, mechanics-wise, honestly, probably 5e. Like, it's easy, and it covers everything that it needs to cover, and I just like it.
Easy for D&D, anyway.
Yeah. Like, I don't like dice pools, and like almost everything else like has dice pools, and it's just like I just have this love-hate relationship with White Wolf because I love Changeling the Lost. It's like one of my favorite things ever, but I also don't like the fact that you can be completely maxed out for picking locks and then still not be able to pick a lock because you didn't roll any 9s or 10s for some reason. Like, it just drives me nuts. I hate dice pools. Hate them. Yeah,
they can be a little wonky. We're starting to look at the Cortex RPG, which is dice pools. And it's like, but no matter how big your dice pool is, you only look at your 2 highest dice and add those together. And then, like, the GM or someone else will roll against you, and they set the difficulty the same way. But the only thing is, like, so if you roll any 1s, they're called hitches, which means you'll succeed, but you also might have something, have a drawback or something bad happen. Or
so doesn't that, like, make it less desirable to have a lot of dice in your pool?
Well, that's just it. Like, the bigger your dice pool, so the better chances of rolling high. But it also means you're more likely to roll more 1s, so you're going to have more hitches. And then if you roll all 1s, then you get a botch, and that's like a critical fumble. I'm still kind of like learning the rules. So So I guess like the mitigation is you're less likely to roll all ones with more dice, and you're also like more likely to get, the two higher dice to choose from. But then also if you get a hitch, then you get like a Benny that you can expend at some point. So I mean, if the GM decides to use the hitch right then and there, I guess you could offset it with your Benny.
Oh, so it's not like you have a hitch on this roll in particular for sure. It's the DM has this in their pocket and they can use it against you later.
Yeah,
that's more reasonable.
That part of it I actually like because like the idea of rolling any ones and having a problem is kind of annoying, right? That it just offsets whatever you did. I think the botch might do that.
I have 10 d10s to roll for this lock-picking check, and I am a rogue, and I see I got a 1. That's statistically likely.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that would be a problem.
No, so it's like they can use it then, or they can put it in their pocket, and you get a plot. The bennies are called plot points, right? So you get those when that happens. But say you roll 3 ones. Well, you technically got 3 hitches. You'll only get paid for it once, but the GM can set them aside. So what he or she might do is add them to their dice pool later to make things harder, or they can do like, I guess it's not called a GM intrusion. I mean, that's from what Cypher System uses, but it's kind of like that.
Dave, I lied to you, and I apologize. I didn't mean to, but Elfbait mentioned Star Wars in the chat there. 8 games, not 7.
Oh.
My spouse, once a week, runs a Star Wars game for me with, like, the Star Wars 5e system that somebody put out, and it's really fun, and, like, nobody else is playing it with us, so, like, I guess I just forgot about it, but, like, 8.
Yeah. The, sort of like special dice in FFG stores. It is, except for there's no special dice. It's just their standard polyhedrons minus the D20 and no percentile dice. And so the size of the dice actually kind of determines your skill level. Like if you have no skill, you roll a D4, and if you are like a master, you roll a D12. And then there's ways to like. So the cool thing is though, you can like push your dice up and down. So, like, you can expand your pool out, or you can change the die sizes. So, which then lowers your chances of rolling a 1 and give you a better chance of rolling a higher number. And if you can ever blow your dice out beyond the D12, it's like, it's like an auto success. But I think it's also rare that you would be able to do that. So I don't know. We're still combing through the rule system now to check it out. It's also, the game is like very generic and modular, so it's like it's not like you have stats like D&D, but you could, right? So, or you might use something else where it's like, oh no, we're just using body, spirit, and mind, or we're going to use powers and skills. So even depending on like you have to build the type of game you want to play every time you play it. So I don't know how I feel yet. We're going through the rules, and we're gonna play a couple games. You may be called upon to be one of our guinea pigs.
I would be more than okay with this.
Yeah, but you can play like
apparently 8 games isn't enough for me.
Yeah. There's never. I don't know how you play that many. I would not actually enjoy playing that many.
So, like, I don't know, I do my writing in the morning, and nobody ever wants to play in the morning anyway, so I get all my stuff done by, like, 2 o'clock, and then everybody comes out of the woodwork and wants to play stuff, and then I'm just like, yes, more RPG, and, like, if I don't know, it's like I'm on a mission to live my entire life as, like, various other people. Man, that counts for my mornings, too, because I'm, like, writing people that aren't me as well. I don't know.
Oh, no. Megan doesn't actually exist. It's a figment.
I'm just a whole bunch of people trying to be one person.
That sounds like a diagnosis.
Oh. That's why I don't go to therapy. No, I'm kidding. No, go to therapy if you need to go to therapy. I just can't afford it. That's why I don't go to therapy. You probably should, though.
You become like 15 different people. That's your therapy.
Yeah, seriously. But, like, it's fun. Man, 15 is is lowballing it. Like, some of these games that I'm involved in, I've got, okay, because, like, if you're in an online game and it's, like, chat-based, you can, like, have as many characters in that game as you want and, like, play some of them simultaneously. It's not like being in a tabletop. So I've got one game I'm involved in that I've got, like, 32 characters in. I've been playing it for, like, 10 years, though. So it's not entirely my fault.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
So it's like 3 characters a year for the past 10 years has added up.
So I've been introduced to the concept. I haven't played it yet, but I'm intrigued by it. Called the funnel system from Dungeon Crawl Classics, where you play like 5 characters, and it's like
and like put them through the meat grinder and see who survives.
Yeah, and then whoever survives, you get to start playing the game as level 1 with that character.
I get too attached to ever do that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to anyway, because my spouse is like really in love with the idea and keeps like wanting to run a game like that. And I believe he wants to do it with like I think it's called EC 6 10 what 6? I don't know. You only go up to level 6.
Yeah.
Like, because then a Manticore is still a valid challenge for the party, and like at that point you're still like better than the average commoner and still like heroes and everything, but you're not getting to like ridiculous levels, and I think that'll be interesting.
So Brian wants to know, how do you track all your NPCs?
I'm just really good at compartmentalizing. Like, I wish I could say that I had like a spreadsheet or were super organized or something, but I don't. Like, they just come off as being people to me, and then I'm thinking like, these are the ones that I've got in Canopy, and these are the ones that I've got in Luster, and they don't occupy the same box in my head, so it's not hard.
Yeah, I just keep notes scrawled all over the place, and then I'm like looking for them, and I try to keep the same notes in the same space, and then I draw boxes around them. I mean, my Scarlet Sisterhood notebook is a mess. It just looks like an insane person was given a piece of paper. So, I mean, I think I've shown you guys the notes. I'm like, look, this is how I track what we're doing. And it is just words scrawled all over paper with different boxes around them to try and keep some semblance of organization. I'm terrible.
Oh, yeah, like, so I've got very organized notes for those bastards, but my Sunday game is just a complete mess because, like, I never know when they're gonna roll initiative. Sometimes they'll try to talk to things, other times they just go charging in. Like, I don't know. So, like...
Once I can't keep track of certain NPCs, it's probably time to off them.
Like, I try to be more prepared for those bastards, because, like, we only have 2 hours to play that game, so, like, you know, pre-rolling the initiative for most of the bad guys, I've got them slotted in already. Like, I can just put you guys in there, just wherever.
Oh, cool. Do you use anything for tracking your initiative?
Like a notepad document.
That's fine. I mean, it works too. I've done quite a bit of that as well for my different games I play, and I just open a notepad and keep the notes there.
Later, Elfbait.
Don't let that real world get in the way. Hold that. So, what are your favorite types of games to run, or game style, I should say?
Okay, so my absolute favorite thing that I have sold my soul to is political intrigue, but no one ever wants to play it with me, so I very rarely get to dust it off.
So, I mean, you can always try and, like, insert it.
I mean, I could, but if people aren't into it, they're not going to engage with it. And I found that most of the time, if I put an evil vizier in front of a group of adventurers that are used to just kicking in the door and slaying the dragon, that they're just gonna gut the vizier in front of half the court, and that's gonna be the end of it. And, like, who am I to tell them not to?
Although, I mean, I feel like I have this condition called children. Yeah, you should avoid that at all costs. I feel, at that point, I feel like they've become the villains, and they should be arrested.
I mean, maybe. It depends on, like, how evil the vizier is, because, like, most of the time, if they know the vizier is evil, they've got evidence, they can make their case. Yeah. I have thrown them into more than one courtroom situation where, like, but all of them did mock trials, so, like, they always do really well when I do that.
That's funny. We've only had a courtroom situation come up once in our games, I think that's what our games are lacking. More courtroom dramas.
God, I wish, Joe. I really wish.
Yeah, you should tweet at Matt Colville and let him know. Needs to get Megan in his games. So, what kind of characters do you like to play? I've seen a few of them, and they've been a lot of fun.
So, like, if I'm gaming IRL, like, the group that I play with on Sundays has very, like, rigid group dynamic roles that we have, because we've got one guy that always plays the rogue every single time. It's the same rogue, too. Like, not exactly the same rogue. He's got a line of drow that is Stalker and Son of Stalker and Son of Stalker, and, you know. So there's, like, a meta plot going on with that. And then we've got, like, our one guy that likes to be the tank character. I usually end up being the spellcaster. Like... wizards. So when I'm not playing with those guys, I try not to be the wizard because I like to bounce around a bit. Like, I like a variety. I don't have a particular type, but Bard is my favorite class in 5e because they're kind of overpowered. They were my favorite class in 3.5 too, though. I just like the performance aspect of it. They're extra.
Yeah. I want to say 40 they probably were playable again. They became more playable because everything was the same. I would have to assume.
So, like, Doug, I know, like, the D&D model of fighting the enemy, but there's this game, Houses of the Blooded, that I want to play so badly, and I haven't been able to find anybody to play it with me, but, like, it's, seriously, the mechanics are all based around political intrigue, and I'm very excited about, like, this game in general. It speaks to me on, like, a cellular level, but I can't get anybody to, like, sit down and play this game with me, like, nobody's interested. It's so good, though.
What is it called?
It's called Houses of the Blooded.
Houses of the Blooded. Okay. Yes. I have not heard of that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I haven't heard of, but
it's like so it's centered around these entities called the Ben. So they're like this culture that are like, you know, very passionate about everything, and they like have the same word for romance and revenge, but like depending on which syllable you put emphasis on, like you're talking about one or the other. It's so good, Dave.
Oh, it's a John Wick game. Okay. I'll have to check that out. I mean, there's so many games to check out.
I know. Like, I just really want to check this one out in particular because it's like somebody picked everything I liked and put it into an RPG, and now I can't get anyone to play it with me.
Yeah. It's been around a while too.
Yes, I have a physical copy of the book and everything because one of my friends, Faye, was nice enough to like mail it to me, and I will be eternally grateful for that because it was like way too expensive for me to afford it at the time. But I'm just,
I'm surprised all your online friends and you can't find someone to play that game with.
Well, most of the time, I play like really loosey-goosey with the rules with my online friends, and most of them don't like to play with mechanics.
Oh.
Excuse me. Like, I've only just gotten some of them to play 5e with me, and I'm like slowly corrupting them into playing more tabletops.
Okay. Huh. So if you were to run that game, what kind of story would you tell?
I mean, like, I would just be surprised enough at first that people actually wanted to, but see, here's the thing, like, the way that I DM, I don't know what kind of story I'm going to tell until I know what the players want to do, because I'm like, I'll talk to them, I'll figure out what their characters are like, I'll take their backstories, and then I'll, like, stitch something together from that. Like, that's kind of what happened with those bastards, too. Like, you guys told me you were all half-siblings, and I'm like, okay, I can work with that, and this is where we ended up.
Yeah. That game is a little bit ridiculous, though. We're a little over the top and extra.
I know, and I love it.
And it's funny because, like, we have casters, but we don't have any smart casters.
No, I think our, like, most intelligent party member is, like, in 12.
Yeah, and it's the barbarian, yeah. He's the brains of the operation. I feel like we're going to get made fun of by the NPCs a lot. So...
Oh, I mean, like, seriously, at some point you definitely should have somebody take advantage of the fact that you're not, like, hitting on all sixes up there, like, none of you, but, like...
I'm sure it'll happen. Actually, I feel like it's already probably happening behind the scenes. Oh, Doug's got a 13 intelligence.
13, okay, pardon me, Vince. I really didn't mean to insult your intelligence. Like,
yeah. He's going to show us, and he's going to put his next adjustment into it and make it a 15. Smartest barbarian ever.
You might as well have a doctorate in bashing things.
Yeah, might as well. So did you see the GIF that I shared in Discord? I don't even know if I put it in the right place.
Let me see. I might have. Wait, is it the guy with the birds?
It is the guy with the birds.
Yes, my heart. Okay, like seriously, I have this huge soft spot for Unga, and I'm like trying so hard not to I just told you, so I ruined the entire thing. I was trying so hard not to let on, but he's just like, he hurts my heart. Like he's just so innocent, and he just wants to help things, and I'm just like, oh.
I know. I spent all my gold that I was saving for my armor upgrade on freeing birds. And the best part was the party's like, is he spending the party treasure?
Oh no.
I wasn't, but I thought it was funny that they were unsure. And they weren't sure. And the best part was they didn't know what to do.
Like, they definitely were going to try to stop you.
Yeah. I don't know. I know like a lot of people will plan out and think really hard about the characters. I don't. I just kind of intuitively play them and be like, well, what would this character do in this situation? And sometimes, they just kind of develop that way.
I feel like it is less about understanding the nuances and every single detail about a character and more about understanding what their core and soul is and then working from there.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I do because also, like, I've gone the other way, and I feel what happens is you, like, pigeonhole yourself into, like, a not fun character to play because the concept, like, sounded better in your head than it actually played at the table.
Yep. Yeah, and like if you start off with a loose concept and start adding details as you go, then like you're building on something, like, then you stick to that. But like, it's a thing. It's good.
Like, there's a lot of tropes that are cool to read about, but they're not really fun to play, and they suck in RPGs. Like the loner or the lone wolf, or like
you, James Bond.
Yeah, like the Wolverines, the Punishers, like, sure, they're great to read about, but when you put them in a group dynamic, where you all have to interact and stay together, so that everyone's kind of playing at the same time, and, or the strong silent type, like, it kind of, it's just not as fun to play, in that different dynamic.
So, like, if you've got, if you're really wanting to play, like, an edgier character, rather than, like, dipping into, like, Wolverine for inspiration, I would totally advise, like, Mythos from Highlander, because the guy was absolutely evil at one point, but he worked with his party, like, absolutely love him. And then, like, Cole from Charmed. Like, I've been watching Charmed. Charmed is, it kind of fluxes between being really good and really bad, but, like, it's got me hooked.
Yeah, the last season of Supernatural just came onto Netflix, so I started watching that, and I can't believe that I watched up to like season like 10, and then I stopped for a while, then I went back, and like I don't want to say like Supernatural's a good show, but at the same time I find myself still watching it.
Okay, so Dave, I'm going to be honest with you. The thing that makes Supernatural still interesting, I don't feel like they're writing a story at this point. I feel like they're writing roles and being like, what can we do to showcase what this actor can do? Like, we're not watching Castiel. We're watching, like, what Misha Collins is doing with the material that he's been given, and it's still engaging, and I'm still really enjoying it, but it's not like, I'm not here for the story anymore.
Well, yeah, because all they really do most of the time is, like, tell the same story over and over again. And it's like, oh, here's a really bad decision. Who's going to make it? Will it be Dean or will it be Sam this time? And then sometimes they get crazy and they mix it up, and Castiel will make the bad decision. So.
Yeah. No, I love Cass. Actually, Crowley was my favorite character.
Yeah, he was actually fun and one of the more interesting characters for a long time. Rowena,
Oh, I love her. Like, don't get me started. I love her to pieces. So good.
And the Felicia Day character, Charlie, was it Charlie?
Charlie, it was absolutely Charlie.
Yeah. And then you had good Charlie and bad Charlie.
I was just so excited that they got Felicia Day at all, like, because when she first showed up, it was like, you know, kind of at that point where I wasn't expecting to see Felicia Day in like something that was that mainstream, and I was just like, what? And like, doing the dip points.
Yeah, I think that made like nerd hearts everywhere sing when she took on they brought her in as the Charlie role.
Oh, she was like one of my early phase girl crushes. Like,
they did a couple varieties of her, right? They did. They had good Charlie, bad Charlie, and alternate reality Charlie.
yes.
So that was kind of fun.
Top YouTube channels for inspiration, writing, or otherwise. Okay, so Hello Future Me is probably like the absolute top of that right now. He has got like all kinds of really cool videos on like world building and like story structure, and those are super interesting. I dig it a lot. Artifexian, also very good for world building things. You know, I would probably be remiss if I didn't say Nerdarchy. Like,
it's all right. They're so. There are so many good YouTube channels out there now. I actually I don't absorb that much content for the stuff that we do anymore. Like occasionally, I kind of like check in every once in a while with like, I love Guy's videos, How to Be a Great GM. But they're actually just too long for my attention span. Like, you know, all of his videos tend to be, 30 minutes or longer.
Yeah.
And then,
if I'm going to watch a video that's 30 minutes or longer, I set it to double time.
Oh, oh my God. Now I want to do that just because it's Guy. I want to double time, see his videos at double time. That'd be funny. Like WebDM videos are definitely longer than I generally want to watch. When I do go back and watch Guy's videos, I'm like, oh, he is so good. But then I'm like, oh, this video is going on forever, so long. So there's that, like, XP to level 3, Runesmith, and Davy Chappie. Like, I really like their videos because they're good, they're entertaining, and they're short. So I can watch a bunch of them fast. Yeah, and I generally watch those for like more of the entertainment value. I think it's like Rex or RX, but it's spelled weird. He's like a video gamer that will sometimes do D&D videos, but it's usually all like Monster Alert videos. Those are pretty good.
Like scrolling down the YouTubers that I follow right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Overly Sarcastic Productions has this series on tropes where Red goes through and like unboxes the like stuff that she just found on TV tropes and like just talks about like where these things came from, and it's really good. I would recommend it to anybody that's like writing anything. It's good.
And was it Man Shorts that would do like the D&D skits?
I don't think I caught the name.
Man Shorts?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea who that is.
They don't do like a lot of content. Yeah, that's it, Mr. Rex. But yeah, like I said, it's spelled differently. Is really good for lore videos, which I'll check them out every once. Yeah, it is Man Shorts. Woohoo! I did remember it right. So yeah, this is, like I said, there is just so many great creators out there. And then if you're talking about like the D&D space, like that's exploded over the last couple years.
Okay, so like this isn't writing or D&D related either, but I really like Ask a Mortician.
Ask a Mortician? Oh man.
Yes. I have learned so many things about death from Ask a Mortician.
Oh my gosh. I guess that works. Well, in our home game that Ted runs, one of our players is an ER doctor. So it's like, what weird thing happened this week, or this month, since it's a monthly game? Who stuck what where that it doesn't belong?
Oh no!
And like you're talking about like certain patients that would come back over and over again, and like next thing you know, they're like on fire from the inside because they ate batteries or something weird.
That's not good.
I know. It's just I don't know. I'm not going to say any more on that topic. There's nothing I can say.
Pretend like I'm not curious, but like I'm not gonna ask right here and now.
Yeah, so Kurt has added much value to our group because he has weird stories that he can share from time to time. You need players in your group like that.
You do. You really do.
Yeah, I tend to like. I've also watched a lot of like entrepreneur videos and YouTube videos, like how-to YouTube videos. Like Brian G. Johnson's really good. Roberto Blake is really good. I think those are the two that I watch the most anymore, just because not only do they have the good information, but the way they deliver it is better than most of the other ones.
I'm gonna have to like sit down and get a list from you in that case, because I don't know the business end of things at all. Could definitely use more research in that department.
Roberto Blake is really good, and he's more generic. He has a lot of people that watch him for like how to YouTube, but he talks about like a lot of other stuff as well.
Okay. I made a note.
He's a little bit more generic. But yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I end up doing. Also because we are so like immersed in gaming and D&D all the time. So sometimes you just want to you want something that isn't that. Like, yeah. Although I did find myself researching medieval gambling games last night.
Not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think I found the same article like 5 times, written by different people on different websites. So
yeah, I mean, like, there's really only so much to know, like.
Well, no. Like the images and the breakdown and everything like look the same. I wasn't really reading them. I was more like skimming because I was looking for something very specific. And I can tell you, in medieval times, it did not have any gambling machines. I feel fairly confident at this point that I can say that.
Okay. So my little brother, this one time, I like put the PCs in a town that they were kind of supposed to build up, and like the thing he decided that he wanted to make was a casino called Orc's Fortune. And I just thought that was the cleverest thing, because he was probably like 13 at the time, like it was just something that I did not expect to come out of his mouth. And he's a clever kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's like 18 now. But,
If he's your little brother, he'll always be a kid to you.
I know.
Ryan
so
is
smart.
Ryan is like 38 now, and he's still my kid brother, so. Just like.
Oh my God.
Just like now my son is 19. Like, so. Or is he 19? Will he be 20? Wait a minute. Oh yeah, he'll be 20 this year. So at this point, I have friends that are much closer to my son's age. Not mentioning any names, Megan. Than my age, right? So.
Dave, can I take a moment to talk about Moosegate, please?
Oh yes. We must cover Moosegate before we leave.
Okay, so like for the past 4 nights, and by the way, I don't have any experience with hex crawls, so you're not missing anything with that. For the past 4 nights, my friend group, like I have either woken up to or like just overheard them having this extended conversation about who would win in a fight, a hunter or a moose. Like assuming that they're within 30 feet of each other and the moose and the hunter are both aware of each other, and like it's this continuous argument. You would be surprised how polarizing this is. Like whether or not the hunter could beat the moose, and I guess part of the argument that keeps springing up is just that the moose is big chongus, and like, you're gonna have a really hard time beating that. But I guess the hunter is supposed. We've had like several phases of the discussion where the hunter's been armed with like a bow and a spear and a crossbow, but like, I think we're all agreed that if the hunter has a gun, the moose is toast. So, if you guys want to weigh in on that, like on Twitter or something, just at me and I'll let my friends know your opinion.
I don't know, even a gun at 30 feet, like, if you get a bad shot off, you're not going to get a chance for many of those.
And moose skull is pretty thick, so it's going to matter, like, what kind of, like, bullets you're using.
A bazooka. Now, if the hunter has a bazooka and a moose is 30 feet away.
Why would the hunter have a bazooka?
Because he's hunting Canadian kaiju. Which is insane. But we're basically at the hour mark. I want to thank you for coming on. I was actually excited when I saw that you were my guest today.
Thank you.
Well, it's fun to do these, and sometimes it's even more fun when I bring my friends on here and we just like talk about nerdy stuff for an hour. So, final words before we head on out.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. Well, here.
I had the biggest brain fart.
Go check out Megan R. Miller on Amazon. There are links down below in the pinned post.
Oh, my Goodreads is down there. Go follow me on Goodreads. I need people, please.
Be a person for Megan. So with that, until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.